So welcome to Anatomy and Physiology, and this is kind of, in this session, we're just going to walk through the course and what it looks like and any assignments and any questions you may have, okay? So first of all, syllabus, syllabus, syllabus. So make sure you print, read, and highlight the important information in the syllabus, specifically the policies and the due dates, okay? So which one can you take, which assessments can you take twice, which one can you only take once, when are things due? They're all on the syllabus. I highly recommend you printing it out. You will find that this course is quite intense. So we have lots of things going on. It's 4 credits, but really it should be 6 because not only do you have to do the lecture component, you also have to do the lab component, okay? Questions so far? Okay, so no questions. We'll move on to the next set of slides. So this course is divided into 4 main units. First unit goes through more of the intro stuff. So you have the introduction chapter, the chemistry chapter, the cells chapter, tissues chapter, and then the integumentary, which is skin chapter. And then after those chapters, you will have your first unit exam. Okay. The exam will be on both lecture and lab. So you'll technically have 2 exams. And you don't have to take the 2 exams on the same time. You can take the one first and followed by the other one. You can take them on the same day if you want, or you can spread them out. You do have from Sunday to Monday to take them, okay? Then after unit 1, we'll start looking at skeletal system, the joints, the muscles, and the nervous. Now notice that there's only 4 chapters in here. Even though there's 4 chapters and it looks really easy, it's actually very difficult. Students have told me that muscles and nervous system are the 2 most difficult ones for them. So I highly recommend you spending, making sure if you work a lot, ask for some time, a little bit more time off for those 2 chapters because they're pretty intense. Okay. So after the skeletal, joints, muscle, nervous, you will have another unit test, both lecture and lab. After that, we go right into the cardiovascular system, and the cardiovascular system covers blood, heart, and blood vessels, the respiratory, and digestive. Again, it looks really easy because there's only 3, the cardiovascular, the respiratory, and digestive, but there's a lot of details, okay? It's fun. It's things that you can relate to. Like you understand when you eat an apple, for example, it moves through your mouth, then to the pharynx, and then to the larynx, and then down to the esophagus, not the larynx, the esophagus, part of the larynx, the esophagus, and then to your stomach and such, right? So it makes sense, but there's a lot of details in there. And that's why you also want to make sure you set aside enough time for that. Same thing, you'll take a unit exam, lecture and lab, and then we'll go on to the last unit, which is on the urinary system, the endocrine, and the reproductive. For the reproductive system, we will be covering both male and female. Now, after the 4th unit, you have the last week of class. In the last week of class, think of it as having 2 exams, even though technically it's just 1 exam. It's called a comprehensive exam because half of the exam is going to cover everything from unit 1, 2, and 3. And then the other half of the exam is going to be like your unit exam. So it's going to cover everything on unit 4, okay? So that's going to be true for both lecture and lab. All right, so I went through that pretty fast. Any questions?
Yes, I don't know if it makes sense, but I just wanted to know when you say lab exam, what that mean?
Sure. So for this class, you have to study the lecture content and then the lab content. So let me show you what that looks like. Let me collapse that. Let me stop presenting, and I will share my whole screen. It's going to look like an infinity. And then let's go to Canvas. Let's go in here. So if you go to the modules right here, can you see my my Canvas page? Yeah? All right. So if you go to the Canvas page and you go to module 1, you'll see that in module 1, there is both the lecture component right there and the lab component. So the lecture component will have its own examination and the lab component will have its own examination. Did that answer your question, Bintu?
Yes.
Okay. Then let's go back to the PowerPoint. These are great questions. Thank you for asking.
I have kind of a silly
You're
question.
No
but,
such thing. Go ahead.
this is like essentially those 4 units or whatever are covering anatomy, physiology 1 and 2, right? Because it's a combined class. So this is all the material you would get in both classes essentially.
Yes, exactly. The difference, so in anatomy physiology in the society, the classes are offered as anatomy. So the classes can either be offered as just anatomy or just physiology. So you need to take it in 2 terms, right? It's also offered as half of the body systems first, and then the second half of the body systems as a second term. Your program only requires 1 term, and they want us to cover all the body systems. So what we did is that we created a course that covers all the body systems in general. So we have general anatomy, and then we have, if you needed a second anatomy, you would take advanced anatomy. So in general anatomy, we cover all the body systems, but just like the surface. So like, we wouldn't go through how blood clotting works, like the steps in blood clotting, for example. We don't go through all the cranial nerves. We don't go through like all the specific details that you would get in if you were to take the second section of this course, which is advanced anatomy physiology. So in advanced anatomy physiology, you would take all body systems again, but this time you would go through the deeper details. So that's how we were able to kind of meet the needs of your program and cover all the body systems. But the only way we can do that is to cover it in general. So the information that you're getting is just the superficial information. And you can tell because if you get the textbook, and I'll talk about the textbook because I know a lot of students are having issues accessing it. But if you get the text, you'll see that in the textbook, we only cover the first set of information in each chapter. We don't go into the details. Okay? So that's how we are making this coursework, is that we cover all body systems, but just like the superficial, the basic information, enough for you to be successful in your program. Okay. Other questions?
Do we have to buy a textbook?
So the textbook is really interesting. So our school has started this program called the IA program, and the IA program helps to make textbook accessible. I have to, yep, that's fine. So it makes the textbook accessible by giving students the ebook version for a much cheaper price, and that is the default setting. So the default setting is when you go to Canvas, like this, under course materials right here. Oh, not course, yeah, course materials. You should see the textbook here, but for some reason it's not showing up on my screen nor on your screen. And last term, it took it a day to get it set up. So what I've done is that I've contacted the bookstore to ask them why it hasn't been set up yet. So we're waiting for it to set up. And if you're concerned about not being able to do this week's material, don't be, because if you go to the modules, each module has all the content that you need to know already within the module. So we have the textbook required because it will give you more examples than what we would provide you. But essentially, all the things that you need for this course is on the modules. So for example, the outline is there if you want to retake your notes, but really it's the PowerPoint and the script. Okay, so all the information that goes into your exam and quizzes will come directly from the materials that we give you on Canvas. Because like I said, right, the textbook is really large. It's really meant for a year long term. So the information that you're responsible for is within here. So this should be your primary study source. And then if you need more examples, or if you're interested and you're like, oh, I want to learn more about that, then you go to the reading pages. Okay. So these pages right here correlate with the information that we give you on the Canvas. So my recommendation to students is to use these information right here, the PowerPoint, the script, the video lectures as your primary source of information, and then go into your readings as a secondary. Okay? Now, the textbook is really useful, particularly for lab, because it has the images in different like views. But again, we provide you with the lab PDF. So let's look at the lab PDF, for example. So in the lab PDF, it's based off of images in the textbook. Okay. But here's the thing, if you Google it, it would also give you what these plans are. Okay, for this first week, since we don't have the textbook, and if you chose to buy your own textbook, then you can use your own textbook, or you can just Google it. So for these terms right here, you can Google them, just like, go on to Google and say what's anterior, posterior, cephalic. It's very common terms that all anatomy and physiology courses require. So there's lots of resources on it. Okay, so know these terms, these body cavities, and that's it for this week's lab. Okay, and hopefully we'll have the textbook resolved by the end of this week. Okay, any questions? All right, so did that answer everyone's questions about the textbook as well? Okay. Now, if you are getting your own textbook and you want a hard copy, because I'm old school, I like the hard copy. So you can buy it on Amazon or any other resources. But if you do that, though, make sure you opt out of the IA program so that you're not charged for it. Okay? So make sure you opt out if you're getting your own textbook, and you certainly can. Okay. All right. So resources, Canvas with the navigational materials. I also have lots of supplemental course videos that I will be providing throughout the term. I also provide worksheets. Some of the worksheets are your actual assignments, but I provide worksheets for every single week. So in the past, students say that doing these worksheets have been the most helpful for them. So I'm just passing on what the other students have been saying, okay? So I would highly recommend that you do worksheets every week, even when they're not part of your assignment, okay? Students have also said that Khan's Academy, Amoeba Sisters, Complete Anatomy and Physiology are also apps that have been very useful, as well as Quizlets. How many of you have used Quizlets? Perfect, okay? Last term, the students didn't form a group as much as the term before that. And I will tell you that any term where students form study groups with each other, overall grade for that course is higher than the grades in the classes that don't form study groups. Okay. So if you're asking me how to be successful in this class, form a study group. Not only are they supportive, where you can like, oh my God, that question was so hard, but also, can someone help me understand this? Okay, so if possible, someone take lead, or all of you can take lead and form study groups, because really that's one of the missing pieces when we have online courses and students just think, oh, I never see you in person, so I can't form study group. That's not true. You can meet on Zoom like we are now and have discussions and help each other, support each other through not only in content, but also in moral support, and like, you can do it, hang on, that helps a lot. All right. Okay. Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So are all the lab and lecture videos the same as they were last time?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay, because there was one video, I think it was over the reproductive system, It was like a female with kind of a foreign voice, and it was very hard to understand her, and it was like really loud. I think you know which one I'm
Mm,
talking about.
yes, yes.
That
She's
one
one of our
okay.
instructors. Yep.
Okay. That one was for, I mean, luckily I was pretty good with the reproductive system, but that was very hard to understand, that video.
Completely understandable. And that's why we also offer a lot of supplemental materials. So make sure you use all the resources. We purposely include all of our instructors in because that gives you the full experience of having the diverse instructors. Because when you go into your field, you'll have diverse patients as well. So there's multiple reasons why we try to include. And I know it can be really hard because it's hard to understand. Um, no problem, Kaylee. To understand everything. But just keep in mind that use mindful listening, and if that doesn't work for you, then because I know it's tough content, and you don't want to have to deal with other issues on top of that. But try to use mindful listening, and then if that doesn't work, then use another video, and I will provide supplemental videos. Okay. So thank you for providing that comment though. Okay. All right. Next. Okay, so let's talk about what you need to do for this course. So there are three main things you have to do for this course. One are the assignments, two are the quizzes, and three are the exams. So those three main things are what determine your grade in this class. Okay. So in terms of assignments, we have critical skills assignments and video assignments. Okay. Some students really love the video assignments. Like on the evaluation, they say that they learn the most from doing the video assignments, because in order for you to record yourself explaining something, you have to clearly be knowledgeable about it. So having to do those videos helps students become more knowledgeable, stronger at that content. Okay. Other students don't find it as helpful, but we have, and that's why we have various different assignments, because some of them will click with you and others will not. But just keep in mind that just because it doesn't click with you doesn't mean it doesn't click with another. So we try to, help as many students by providing the most, diverse types of assignments. So there are 7 critical studies assignments and 4 video assignments. So it totals to 11. One of those assignments will be dropped. Your lowest assignments will be dropped. Okay. So you can do all 10, and if you get all 10 of them perfect score, you don't even have to do the 11th one, because one of them will automatically be dropped anyways. Okay. Or if you get really sick and you're like, I just can't do this, I'm tied to the bed, I can barely get up and not bark, for example. Okay. I do not wish that on anyone, but if that does happen to some of you, you can just go, okay, I have one assignment I can drop, I'm going to use it for this one. Questions about the assignments?
I have a quick question about the assignments. On the one that we're doing right now, the discussion assignment, we're supposed to reply to 2 other people's videos. I was just curious, if somebody replies to your video, if I were to reply back to that, does that count as a reply, or does it have to be specifically to somebody's video? Because I got a reply and like I have questions for that person and was going to interact with them, but I didn't know if that would count or not.
Unfortunately, it doesn't, because it
Okay.
doesn't. So on my end, when I'm grading the stuff, it allows me to see which video you've watched and replied to. It does not allow me to track which one you replied to as a reply thread. So unfortunately, I can't track that. Yep. So make sure you watch your peers' video, 2 of them at least, and then reply to those. And then that's what will show up on my end. And then I can say, yep, all done, 10 points. Okay. A couple things for the critical skills assignment. They're all due on the same day. Critical skills assignments and video assignments are all due on Friday. There's 3 that are not, only 3. And those are the preparing for exam ones, because, we want you to prepare for your exam before you've taken the exam. And that's why those are due on Wednesday. But otherwise, the general rule of thumb, assignments are due Fridays. Okay. And then if it's a video assignment, you also have to reply by Sunday. Okay. All right. So one of the things about this course is that we try to keep it consistent so that way you can keep track easier than if, on this week it's due this day, on this week it's due a different day, and so on. So we try to keep due dates as consistent as possible. Okay. All right. So for the video assignments, those 4 video assignments that you have to do, here's the grading rubric for them. Okay. It's worth 10 points. Always begin your video with your name, the date, and the topic you're presenting. The content, did you cover the content that I asked you to cover? That's 4 points. Do you have a narration? So you have to talk. You have to explain that topic, and that's 2 points. You also have to include, excuse me, you also have to include a visual. Now, here's where students lose points. The visual has to be created by you. For example, if you took someone else's picture off of the internet and then explain that, you automatically lose 2 points. You have to draw or create your own visuals. Okay? So you have to draw or create your own visuals. You being in your video explaining things is not a visual. Okay? So just to clarify, you being in the video explaining your video is not considered as a visual. The visual must aid in the content. Okay? Like for example, one of the video assignments is on joint movements. Then you can go in and say, oh, this is flexion, this is extension. That works. Okay? Other times, students have used models, like they created models. They create drawings, or they've created animations, depending on how tech savvy you are. But the visuals must originally be from you. You cannot take any images from the textbook, on the internet, or anywhere else. Okay? All right. So that's the visuals. 2 points. Then you need to watch and provide feedback on 2 videos, 2 of your peer videos. The feedback can't just be, oh, I liked your video, thanks. Okay? You have to make sure that your video contains constructive feedback. Okay? I know from being in Minnesota Nice, we're like, oh, I don't want to put that person down. No, everybody's learning, right? So if you see that your peers said, oh, the mitochondria is an organelle that functions in storing and delivering packages, that's wrong. So then you can just say, that's not my understanding of the mitochondria. I thought it does this. Okay. So it's not being mean or criticizing. Okay. So don't take it that way. This is a chance for you to help your peers improve. Okay. I will not provide. So the video assignments is more for peer-to-peer feedback. So all I'm going to be doing is grading on, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Okay. You will be helping each other build your content. This is a great chance to see if if your classmates are making what we call a misunderstanding or miscontent. You can help them to correct that. Okay. So please make sure to provide constructive feedback for your classmates. Okay. Because this is for peer-to-peer interaction. Okay. Instructor to peer. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I know obviously I can't use my same videos from last semester, but can I use like some of my same drawings?
Yes.
Or do I need to draw them all over again? Okay. Okay.
I recommend whatever you feel is you're learning the best. Okay. So you're right, you cannot use the same videos. If the images that you used the first time were, masterpieces, were something that you've spent so much time on it, it contains the correct information, then go ahead and reuse it. But sometimes it helps just to redo things and see, oh, that's what I missed from last time. So you judge as to, what helps you the most to learn. Okay. All right. So that's the video assignments. Any other questions? Thanks, Megan. Okay. And if you do have questions as you're doing them, please let me know. Okay. Now, the video discussions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually
Yeah,
had
go ahead.
one
Yeah,
question.
Kaylee.
I don't know if you said it, but do they have to be a certain length? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the past, sometimes students do really short videos, sometimes they do really long videos. If you want your classmates to watch your videos, which you do, so that they can provide the feedback, I would recommend no more than 5 minutes. Okay. So no more than 5 minutes. If it's 10 minutes, it's too long. You lose your peers' interest. Okay. So maximum of 5 minutes. Okay. And another thing to help make it easier, a lot of students attach their video into Canvas. And when you attach it to Canvas, students have to download it and then open it. So it's an extra step for someone to watch it. So this term, I'm going to ask that you either upload the video directly, so that record directly from Canvas so that students can just press play, or record it, upload to YouTube, attach the link, and that way people can just press play as well. So do not upload the file onto Canvas, which will make students download the file to be able to watch it. Okay. So the two ways in which you can upload it is either through YouTube or directly record on Canvas, or any method in which someone can just press play and be able to watch it. Okay. Because I want your videos to be watched. Yes. Question.
And one more question.
Yeah.
Well, do you have the rubric, like where the assignment is in Canvas? Like, I'll see the rubric again per video to know what I need to do.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So if you go to here, let me go back here, go here, and go to assignments. Go here. Down here. Oh, I cannot pull it all the way down. Oh, there we go. Okay, so grading rubric is right here. So it's part of the assignment. Okay. Questions? Other questions? All right, let's move on. Then you also have the weekly quizzes. Every week, except for when you're having the exam, you will have 2 quizzes, a lecture quiz and a lab quiz. They are open all week long. Okay. You must submit them by Sunday, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, not your time zone, but Central Standard Time. So if you are in California, that means that you submit it at what time? Excuse me. So if you live in California, when is this assignment due?
Is it due like at 9?
Yes,
9
ma'am.
p.m.?
Yep. It is due at 9 p.m. If you live in Eastern Standard Time, you have until midnight. And really, it's not that they have more time or California has less time. Keep in mind that they're open also at this time zone. Okay, so you have the exact same time span. It's just that your time zone is different. Okay, so please do keep that in mind. Because one time I had a student in Virginia, and they're like, that's not fair, you know? Or no, I had a student in California say, that's not fair. How come my assignments due at 9 and they're due at midnight? And like, no, that's not true. When it's open, it's also delayed, you know, it's also the same. Okay. So, all right. So for so every week you will have both lecture and lab quizzes. You have a whole week to do them. And because you have a whole week to do them, there are no makeups, no retakes. Okay. Each quiz, you have 2 attempts that you can do. You can take them twice. Okay. You will not see how you did on the first time. Yeah, you can't see the questions again, but you should be able to see your score so that you know you can tell whether you need to retake it or not. Either way, I recommend you taking it twice because it's going to be different questions. Okay. So you have 2 attempts on both the lecture and the lab quizzes. There are no There are no makeups and no retakes beyond that and beyond this due date. So please, please, please make sure you do not wait until Sunday and say, oh my God, Kim, I couldn't take it. Can I have another day? No, you had the full week to do it. Okay. There are extenuating circumstances though. So let's say, something extenuating circumstance. Always email me. It never hurts to ask. The worst I can do is say no, but you never know. I might be able to give you that extension. Okay. So always ask me if something comes up and you cannot take it, just send me an email and we'll talk about it. Sometimes my answer will be no, other times it'll be yes, based on the extenuating circumstances. Okay. But just always keep in contact with me. You have my email, you have my text. Just send me a message and then we can work through it. Okay. I try to be as accommodating as possible, but I also have to be considerate and fair to all students. Okay. All right. The quizzes should never require any passwords, but if it does, because like 10 years ago when I was teaching this, there was a password requirement, but it hasn't been there for 10 years. But if that setting does revert back, it's anatomy. The password is anatomy. Okay. It shouldn't require a password though. All right. Okay. So the lecture quizzes will be 10 questions that are multiple choice, and it covers that current week's lecture modules. The lab quiz is the same. It's going to cover the 10. However, the question format is write in. Okay. So for all lab material, whether it's a lab quiz or lab exam, it's always going to be write in. You have to type in the answer. Spelling counts. So when you're studying for lab, make sure you are writing it out, practicing how it is spelled as well as how to identify it. Okay, so spelling counts. Okay, students have 2 attempts to take each of the quizzes. Absolutely no makeup or retakes unless there's extenuating circumstances, but just contact me. Okay, that's one of the biggest key things to be successful is just contact me. Okay, if you have any questions. There is a practice quiz that you can take that is due on Wednesday, just to make sure that your computer system is able to allow you to take the quizzes. Now, a lot of you already emailed me, oh, I can't take I download lockdown respondents, I can't take it. And I'll ask you, okay, what device are you using? Oh, my phone. You can't use your phones. You cannot use your phone. You cannot use a Chromebook. You cannot use an iPad. It does not work on those. You must take it on a desktop or like a full laptop. Okay. And that's why I have the practice quiz, to make sure that you do have all that set up before the actual quiz is due. Okay.
I have a question.
On the respondus, this morning I did mine. But it gives you an option. You have to click Canvas at St. Kate or OTA online before you take the quiz. So last semester it was OTA online, and this time I guess you have to click Canvas at St. Kate.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because it wasn't allowing me to do it.
Yeah, mine wasn't working, so maybe that's why. Because I was clicking OTA.
Yeah, that's 100% it, because I tried doing it through the OTA online and it wouldn't work. And then when I did it through the St. Kate's, like Megan's saying, it worked. So yeah, you have to choose the first option.
That is something new. I didn't even know about that. Thank you, Megan. You probably saved a lot of students anxiety. Thank you. Okay, so something we all just learned. All right.
Well, for me, the only problem I'm having is, so I have 2 computers. The laptop Chromebook, like you said, isn't working, and I purposely bought this laptop. It's a Windows, and when I try to download it and take the practice quiz, it's not on the App Store. Like, it's not on the Windows App Store. It takes me to the App Store, but it's not on there, so I don't know what to do.
You said you have 2 laptops, though?
Yes, I'm using the Windows one. And it just takes me, like, when I go to download the Respondus browser, it takes me to the App Store, and it's not on the App Store. Like, it's not on the Windows.
Is it a Chromebook?
No, it's a Windows computer.
Okay. So that's a technical issue. So I would say contact the help desk, and they will walk you through that. That's beyond my science brain. So I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. If
Kaylee,
yeah, go ahead.
I do know that I have like a Windows laptop as well, and I know I just downloaded it through the web browser, so I don't know like why it keeps kicking you to the app store, but yeah.
Yeah, I've tried it like 5 times and it just kicks me to the app store. Like it won't let
Okay.
me just do it like you're saying. Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay.
And that's another thing. If you have a question, most likely your classmate will have an answer to that. So if you form that study group, that's, you know, one of the reasons why study groups are so helpful. Okay. All right. Finally, make sure you use those quizzes as a learning tool. Some students will just take it, get the grade, and then that's it. Go back to it. That's why I release the answers. Okay. So I will release the correct answers only for 48 hours though, just to help, you know, like encourage you to go back right away. Look at the answers. Why did you get it wrong? Is it because you took the wrong notes and you need to fix it before you go into the exam, or because you didn't study it? You know, so use these quizzes as a learning tool. Okay, not just a way for me to assess you, but for you to learn and better prepare yourself for the exams. Okay, so the quizzes, once all the students have taken them, such a cute baby, Kaylee. Once all the students have taken the exam, the quizzes, okay, so that means that by Monday or Tuesday, I will release the correct answers. You can go in and look at them within 48 hours, okay? You will always be able to see your quizzes. In other words, the questions and what you selected, but the correct answers will not be there. So you can still learn from the quizzes. It's just that the correct answers will only be available for 48 hours, so 2 days. But again, a lot of students don't understand when I say them. You can always look back at your quizzes anytime. You can see the questions, you can see what you answered and whether you got it right or wrong. It just won't give you what the correct answer is. Okay? All right. I think that's it for the quizzes. Yeah. Then for lecture, you can see that lecture makes up a large percentage of this class. Okay. And you have the assignments make up 10%, the quizzes make up 10%. You have 11 quizzes. The lowest quiz will be dropped. I don't do that. Canvas automatically does that. Okay. And then, so they're only worth 1 point each. So they really are meant to kind of be helpful to students. Then your first exam has 50 questions, is worth 10% of your grade. Second exam, 50 questions, 10% of your grade. Third exam, 50 questions, 10% of your grade. Your final, think of it as 2 exams, one exam 4 and the other on comprehensive, 100 questions, 20%. And when we get closer to the exam time, I will give you much more details on them, okay? For lab quizzes, you have 11 of them, 10 points each. One of your lowest lab quiz will also be dropped. So like I said, if you have 1 week where you're just struggling, you're sick, you just can't take it, you know, it's okay, because one of your quizzes will be dropped, okay? So your lab quizzes are 5% total. Your exam 1 is worth 5%, exam 2, 5%, exam 3, 5%, your final exam is worth 10%. So that's kind of how you're going to be graded in this class. Questions?
I forgot to ask this question like a couple slides ago, but you said for the ones we have 2 attempts for, like let's say, because you said go ahead and take them, but like let's say I got a 90 on the first attempt and then like 80 on the second one. Will the 80 affect the 90? No,
Nope.
okay. So the second
I
one.
always go with the highest score.
Okay.
Yep. And likewise, when you take the quizzes, I will only grade one of your quizzes. So whichever one's the highest, that's the one I'm going to grade. Okay, so when you go back to review how I graded them, go to the one that you had the highest score in. Great question. Okay. All right. Is there extra credit? Yes. And based from the student feedbacks a few years ago, we have now incorporated some extra credit into it. Okay. So there are 2 chances for extra credit. Each extra credit is worth 10 points. That's the equivalent of 1 assignment. Okay. So you can either use these extra credit to replace your assignment or to actually just bump you up 2%. Okay. So each of these extra credit is worth 1%. So let's say you need a 73% to pass this class with a C, and you get a 71%. You do these 2 extra credit, and if the points work out, it will push you up to 73. So is it worth it to do these extra credit? Absolutely. Okay. And plus, it's not just for the extra credit, but it's also really beneficial in the learning as well. So there's 2 extra credit. One, you need to start right away. And this is, and I call it the community building extra credit, because again, I don't want you to be isolated because this is an online course. I want community, right? So I'm going to encourage you to form the study groups by giving you 2 extra credit points each time you meet as a group. Okay. So you can either meet with me, a TA, and I don't know if we had funding for a TA this year, but a TA as well as amongst yourselves. Okay. Before you meet, come with 3 questions, what we call muddiest point questions. During the session, ask your questions. After the session, provide the response to your questions and email it to me. Okay. So email me that, for example, I completed, a community building extra credit. I met with these classmates. I had these questions before we met. These are the answers we talked about. And here's a screenshot of the Zoom meeting or, whatever, and then send that to me. So each session that you meet with each other, if we have a TA or myself, is worth 2 points, and you can get up to a maximum of 10 points. So do that throughout the term. One of those sessions, or these points can also come from our review sessions. Just like we're meeting right now, I will have review sessions a week before the exam. And if you come to those, you automatically get 2 points. If you are not able to make it, because I know this is not a synchronous class, if you're not able to make it, all you have to do is watch the recording of those review sessions, type up 3 things that you've learned from the review session that you didn't know before, email it to me, and that will count as being there. Okay? Questions? Okay. The second extra credit is on inequities in science. Okay. This class is already so full, and I haven't had a chance to kind of go through and take out some content, put in some more of like real life situations, which expose the inequities of science. I have to put it at the end of the term. Okay, so inequities in science is where you kind of go through the anatomy and physiology, because anatomy and physiology, we think of science as objective, right? So like not biased, but it is quite biased. So for example, like the meters that read your oxygen levels, they don't work very well with people of darker skin pigment. And why? That's because the research was done mostly on Caucasians. So that is to the disadvantage of people with darker skin pigmentation. Okay. So there are, even though we think that science is non-biased, it actually has a lot of bias. So it's good to understand that, because it does determine health at the end. Okay. So that assignment will be posted towards the last half of the term that you can do. So those are the 2 extra credit opportunities. Accommodations, if you qualify for accommodations, and this could be something like, you have certain conditions, or you have physical conditions that allow you to qualify for extended testing time. Okay, make sure you contact the accessibility, because I cannot give it to you until they send me a letter that I can. So if you qualify for it, please don't hesitate to ask for it. Okay. The course layout, I kind of walked through it already, but there's the home, the syllabus, announcements page, modules, discussions, assignments, grades, and people if you want to create that study group. Okay. The due dates are always on Canvas, so make sure you check that. The syllabus, again, I can't stress how important the syllabus is. Make sure you print it out, you highlight things, and you put it into your calendars. There's a lot of assignments in this class. The only way I can even keep up is I have reminders on my phone. It says, okay, it's time to grade this assignment. It's time to do this assignment, so on. So make sure you have really strong time management. The modules are arranged by week. So each week, these are the things you have to do. Some weeks it's only one module. Other weeks is 2 modules. You are responsible for everything that's under that week. Each module contains the objectives, the learning objectives, kind of what you need to be able to do by the end of that module. There's a lecture component. Make sure you go through all of that. And the 2 first bullet points are the most important one. The content and then the video, the lecture video. The reading, again, that should not be your priority, okay? If you want to learn more, if you want to have more examples, then go to that. But really just focus on this. The lab component will also be included. And here is the navigational. This is where the supplemental information will be included, okay? Supplemental information, 2 sources. One, the navigation materials in Canvas. The second is on the announcements pages, okay? On the announcements pages, I will always have extra stuff that I create specifically for you, okay? So please make sure you use both the navigational materials on Canvas, but also my own that I made for this class. My recommendation for the weekly schedule, Monday and Tuesday, make sure you look at the videos and the scripts of the week. Watch the video, take notes on the PDFs. Wednesday, Thursday, rewrite your notes. Students tell me that the best way to learn in this class, because it's so content heavy, is to rewrite your notes. Complete the assignments and submit posts by Friday. Friday, review your notes, do the worksheets, do cognitive maps. Then Saturday, Sunday, take the quizzes. Okay. All right, that's what I have for you. Do you have any questions for me?